Are the devastating images we're seeing of coastal erosion a sign of things to come? Are we facing a growing danger of coastal erosion along our sandy coastlines? Coastal erosion is a completely natural process. During storms, sand is stripped off the upper beach and deposited out in the surf zone. Sand generally isn't lost, it'll come back, but it takes time. The damage that was seen on Sydney's Narrabeen Collaroy beaches in June 2016 was an unusual combination of three factors. First, we had large waves, but actually we had waves that large just a year ago. But those large waves coincided with an unusual wave direction for Sydney, which is from the northeast. And on top of that, the storm coincided with king tides. This is something that only occurs twice a year when the sun and the moon and the earth line up and we have the largest tide ranges experienced. So the question always arises, did that erosion occur because of climate change? Well, we can't associate a single storm with climate change, but we can learn lessons. We know sea level's rising, we're measuring it, and the sort of king tides we're experiencing now, in 2 to 3 decades will be our spring tides, and only a few decades later will be our normal tides. On top of that, the climate modellers tell us that we should expect waves to be coming from unusual directions, including the northeast. So the combination of rising sea levels, unusual wave directions, that is what we should expect in the future. The erosion we saw at Narrabeen Collaroy was as expected, and in fact we were able to predict prior to the storm where that erosion was going to occur and how much sand was going to be removed from the beach. But Narrabeen Collaroy is the only site around Australia where we have long-term observations that enable us to make those predictions. So for around 500 kilometres along the New South Wales coast, we're relatively confident that we can predict coastal erosion when a large storm arises. But around the entire rest of the Australian coastline, the Coral Coast in Western Australia, the high energy coastlines in Southern Australia, up in the north, we have very few observations and we're really operating in the dark. Coastal erosion is generally not a problem unless we place public or private infrastructure in the active beach zone. This is sand dunes, which we saw eroded at Narrabeen Collaroy. Fortunately, there are a number of coastal engineering solutions to manage coastal erosion. We can retreat from the coast, or, best of all, we can plan not to build on the coast in future. But where infrastructure is already present, we can build seawalls, we can nourish the beach, which means to place additional sand volume on the beach, or a combination of these solutions.